Welcome to Connect Euclid, a show designed to communicate the progresses and challenges of the City of Euclid and the Euclid City Schools. I'm AUDREY HOLTZMAN, and I'm here with Mayor Cervenik and Superintendent Bell. Hello, gentlemen.
How are you?
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Did anybody know that it was January?
No.
Oh, wait, it's November.
Sure feels like it.
Yeah, didn't get that memo.
Yeah.
It's very cold.
We could be in Buffalo, and they've got 6 feet of snow, not 6 inches. They have 6 feet.
Yeah.
We are so lucky.
Yes.
We are so lucky. No snow days so far?
Pardon me?
No snow days so far?
No, not so far, although I had students ask me to consider that for the last couple of days, but that consideration will not occur. But so far, I'm just crossing my fingers. No snow days so far, but it's been tough.
So how does the snow affect you guys at the city? What does it mean?
It costs the city a lot of money, clear. It really does. So far, we've not had a lot of snow, but we've had some icy conditions when it first started. And this year, it was so bad, we actually went out and salted a lot of the side streets, which we try not to normally do. But we had a lot of ice when this first came in. And the thing that bothers us, it's been so long, and we're hoping for a break this weekend.
Yeah.
And I think I saw somewhere on the news they did a little survey of what the different cities have spent on salt, and I saw somewhere around 700.
700, closer to 800,000, I believe, yeah. And that's salt, overtime, plowing, the whole thing, yeah.
Right.
And that's over the last 3 years, but it was weighted very heavily last year, and we're hoping that this year's winter, although we're not sure now, will be a little kinder than last year.
Yeah. How does that compare to other winters? I mean, just
last year was easily 30 to 35% more expensive to control than any other one. Last year was tough, and yet it didn't start this early last year,
right.
And we're already there.
Do you have any advice for residents?
Yes, drive slowly, especially on the side streets. Please check in, especially when it's cold like this. Right now, our issue isn't snow so much. Please check in on your resident, your neighbors, especially your elderly neighbors. Knock on the door, take over a cup of soup, some hot chocolate, you sit down and have a chat with them, make sure they're okay. If you see anything, if you don't see any action over, any movement over there in a couple of days, please just check on them. Because this weather, it's tough on all of us, but it's especially tough on our elderly people. And of course, if there's ever a dangerous condition when you're driving and you notice us, give us a call. We'll take care of it.
What about for students, Superintendent Bell?
Yeah, I kind of echo what the mayor has said. I think the important thing is to really check the weather forecast, because kids walking to school, especially in our district, walking to school, catching the bus, standing at the bus stop, just to check in to make sure that they understand the weather conditions and really dress kids appropriately. We have kids that come in with no hats and scarves, and with the weather being the way it is, it's really important to make sure that they're dressed appropriately. So I think those are the things that really for parents to pay attention to. And then also make sure that they check when they come home that they're feeling okay, and that we don't have them out there when they're sick. So we want to make sure that they have the best opportunity to be successful. So those are just some of the things that I would think.
So hats and gloves and scarves and jackets, and zip them up.
And
yeah, take care of those babies.
Try not to walk in the street when you're on your way to school and back. I know it's difficult sometimes because everybody doesn't shovel. And on the main streets, we do have a tractor plow that we try and shovel those the main sidewalks on the main streets. But you just need to be a little more careful. You can slip and fall in the street, and a car could not be able to stop.
Yeah, I think going to that point, and I just thought of something, was to have kids stand back a little bit from the curb.
Yeah.
Don't get so close to the curb. What happens with snow is sometimes you can't tell where the curb ends and the snow begins. So, try to stand back so that cars, as they turn corners, don't, make the same mistake and can't see where to go, and just don't want to prevent any kind of accidents from occurring. So that would be another piece of advice.
That's great. Superintendent Bell, a couple of months ago, the state released report cards for all of the districts in the state of Ohio. What can you tell us about Euclid's state report card?
Sure. I think the first thing that I would tell people, and we've communicated this internally as well as externally, is the fact that we as a district did not meet all of the state indicators, and we're working very hard. We we want that to occur. So we're working very, very hard to make that happen. But I do want to acknowledge that we have not done that. But I do want to share with you that we are making progress toward those indicators, and I got a couple of opportunities to give you some evidence in that area. First of all, our high school graduation rate has increased to the highest it's been in the last 5 years, which is pretty significant. The state now measures 4- and 5-year graduation rates, and so it's improved over the last 5 years. The second thing that has been significant is the increase in our performance index. And the performance index, what it does is measure the district's growth by looking at the 4 academic areas that the state looks at for measurement, which is the 4 categories: accelerated, advanced, proficient, and basic. And what happens is that the higher your students score, the higher your performance index would be. And so our performance index has continued to increase over the last 5 years, and we're really happy with that. And what that means is that our teachers are really working hard at the instructional level to ensure that our kids are getting everything that they need. So I'm real happy with that. And I think the third indicator of how we're making progress is what we've been able to do with value added. I know it gets confusing to folks, so let me try to simplify that. With value add, what it does is it measures student growth. One of the things that we've talked about on this show is we cannot control what happens and how kids come to us, but what we try to do is to make sure we are doing everything we need to with the kids that we get. So what value added does is measure our growth over time. And it measures whether in an academic year how much growth have we made. And so I'm really happy to report that the district has received an A in value add, which means that our students have received a minimum of 2 years worth of growth, which is significant. And one might ask, well, if you're getting 2 years worth of growth, then how can you not be meeting those indicators? Well, what happens is we have kids that may need more than that. They may need 4 or 5 years, depending on where they are. But
and they come into our system.
And they come into
way.
our system,
Okay.
and so they come in whatever their skill set is. But to get a year's worth of growth is significant. To get 2 years of growth means that, again, we have a great staff of people who are really working hard to ensure our kids are getting what they need. So I think that's significant. Within that value add is a significant jump in our students with disabilities. Our students with disabilities a year ago received a C in value add, which would be the equivalent of 1 year's worth of growth. This past year we received an A. So we went from a C to an A in value add with students with disabilities, and that's a tougher population of students with the challenges that they have, but our teachers have really worked very, very hard to make sure that those students are getting what they need academically as well as in other areas, and it's reflective in that growth. So when you look at the report card, again, we didn't meet the state indicators, and just so the public is aware, those indicators were moved from 75% to 80% this year. So there was a higher threshold, and we didn't meet that as a district, but we're making progress, significant progress to that goal, and which is indicated by some of what I just pointed out here. And I think the fourth area is our third grade reading. Went from approximately about a year ago today, 42%, to the end of last year, 92, a little bit over 90%.
That's significant.
Very significant. And again, everything that I'm pointing out, I think, is a reflection of a lot of people, our teachers, our administrators, but especially our teachers who have identified some really significant targeted areas, and they are really pushing kids and using data to move them forward. And so the intervention strategies are working. We're looking at data differently. We're just really a sense of urgency throughout the entire district to move kids forward. So I'm really happy with how that part is working out. And we've got work to do. Haven't gotten there by any means. Got a lot of work to do. But we are moving forward and making progress in many areas.
And I agree with you. We need to credit the teachers and the administration, all that. But are we seeing that our students, obviously we have to be seeing that they're buying into really understanding achievement, that they're expected to achieve to a certain level and beyond.
Yeah.
because you don't double your scores by,
Yeah.
some of the students must be catching on that,
Well-
okay, this is serious stuff.
Yeah,
I
great.
need to do good. I need to get grades. I can't settle for C's anymore. I got to have B's and A's because I do want to go to college. I do want to have a career, and that's important. And I think that's the teacher's job. That's the administration's job, and it's also our jobs as parents and neighbors. And that these kids need to.
Yeah. I
They
think
need
it's
to
a
realize it's the right thing to do, and we're there to help them.
great question. And let me just tell you what the evidence of that is, what you just pointed out, because I think that's a great point. One of the differences that is occurring is student ownership of their data. That's, to me, significant.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can the teacher talk about it or the parent talk about it, the student can talk about it. And with our new system of being able to make that transparent for parents in grade, allows parents to go in and take a look at where students are, where they're performing, what assignments they've turned in, what they haven't turned in, what's upcoming. Teachers update that on a regular basis. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that students own that. And let me just give you an example. I was in a building this morning, and the conversation with the principal was that students look at that data and they come in and they will challenge their teachers. What can I do? Because I know I haven't done this. They're starting to take more ownership of their own education, which is where you want them to be. And so, we're encouraging that. We want them to know. And the more people who know, I think the better opportunity we have to continue to move forward. So it's a great way to have a collaborative effort, not only students, but teachers, everybody all in the working towards the same cause.
Good.
I'd have to say, too, that I think there's a lot of emphasis not only on a grade, but on understanding what they're learning.
Absolutely.
And we see our teachers all the time, like hands-on activities with like using real-life examples of their lessons. And you talk about this quite often, Superintendent Bell, that our teachers want them to understand things in a real-life way, not just, did I get an A on this test or quiz, or how can you apply this to real life? So.
I agree with you. Some of the supposedly most intelligent people in the world have absolutely no common sense at all. And there's that nice balance that we have to have, and especially at a young age like that.
Yeah.
We need to lead them and guide them to understand the big picture.
At the high school yesterday, perfect example. At the high school, I go through and look at visit classrooms on a monthly basis. And so I was in a high school math class yesterday, and the young lady was working on her math. And she was doing an algebraic problem. And I asked her, I said, so why do you need to know this? And her first response was for the test. I said, so beyond the test, why do you need to know this? And she didn't have a really good answer. And I said, and I asked her, I said, tell me what math teaches you. She says, it teaches me numbers. And I told her, I said, it teaches you to think, not numbers. And she scratched her head. She said, I never thought about it that way. I said, it's teaching you how to think, because look at what you have to do. She had a partner, and they were working together on a math problem, but they had to put things together. And just to your point, Ms. Holtzman, that's exactly what kids need to be able to do. Owning that and being able to apply that across the curriculum, not just to math, but to thinking, and being able to think better and being able to understand how to problem solve, which is what we want kids to be able to do. So that ownership piece goes beyond just the content area. It really goes into looking at them and getting them to challenge themselves to look outside the box and look at what they want to do and make it applicable to things that they're aspiring to do. And that's where we want them to start to be in their education. And our teachers are working really hard to make that happen.
That's great. Mayor Cervenik, you have something in front of you. I think that's the Euclid City Schools Quality Profile.
Yes, it looks a little different than what we're used to receiving. Yes, and it's got a lot of good information in here. I really like it, and I believe all the residents should have received it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superintendent Bell, can you tell us why the district decided to send out a quality profile, and what does that mean?
Yeah, here's where I've struggled as superintendent as far as communication. What happens is a lot of things occur in our district that are good things that occur in our district, but because a lot of times the negative gets the print, the negative gets the attention, the negative gets all of what we'd want to have for the positive, it's very difficult to get that information out. And when you have a state report card, and as I acknowledged, we didn't meet some of the indicators, one might think that, well, I don't know what's happening in the school district. So what I wanted to do was to make sure that all of our residents had accurate information, that they could see what was happening in the district. And specifically that they could see what's occurring beyond the state report card. Just like with everything that we do, we're not measured by one component. There are multi-factors to everything that we do. And I wasn't sure if our residents were real clear on all of the things that we are doing in the district to move toward meeting those targets. And so what I wanted to do was to put something out that represented the district in a quality way. And fortunately, I have some very good people. I couldn't do this by myself and didn't do this by myself. We had people that, Ms. HOLTZMAN and a lot of other people worked hard to make sure that we had an accurate capture of the district. For example, just some of the things that would not be in the state report card are the fact that we have a 5-star step up to quality preschool, which is very difficult. We did that in 1 year, and people are able to see that. The number of kids that are taking dual enrollment courses and the amount of money that's saved with college costs being the way they are, we're trying to do everything we can to cut that down. And so some of those kinds of things to be able to see what's occurring. It talks about what we're doing in the arts to be able to support the academic programming. So in short, it was an attempt on our part to ensure that the public had a full depiction of what the district is trying to do, and certainly open to suggestions, but wanted to make sure that if you had a conversation with someone and they mentioned something about the district, that you had something in your hand that you can say, this is what we're doing. And that did happen. I happened to be on an elevator with a resident that received the profile, and she said, for a long time, I didn't know how to respond. When people asked me or made statements about the district, she said, I didn't know how to respond because I didn't have anything. She said, when I got that, I said, now I have something that I can use to respond to comments. I can respond to conversations that I'm having. I have an opportunity to be able to use that and to help describe what's going on in the district. So that was the purpose.
Well, there's a lot of good information here, and I think it really does give the whole big picture of, we talk about report cards and all that, but a lot of the activities that we have and what we're teaching these students aren't measured in a report card. But we bring it to light here and let you understand that a lot of good things happening.
Absolutely.
A lot of opportunities for our students.
And we're going to continue to try to do everything we can. I think the one thing, and I did that in the summary, is to try to point out to residents that meeting targets is certainly a goal. That's what we want to do. We want to continue to meet targets, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that when you're making progress to meet that target, the effort that goes into that. And I don't want any of our people to not know how much those efforts are appreciated. And I just want parents to know that, we get it. We know where we need to be, but don't think for a second that we're not trying to make that happen. And there are a lot of people that are working on behalf of our students to try to get them where they need to be. So we're going to continue to do that.
That's great. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back.
Passing gas around infants can be deadly. Passing gas releases a toxic fog of ammonia and hydrogen cyanide, which can be especially harmful on an infant's developing lungs. Passing gas can even contribute to sudden infant death syndrome. Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas, take it outside.
It's fun to sing,
Zippity zip zip zin zin zin.
dance, and play music every day.
Yeah, go for it.
Doing something artistic inspires creativity and helps you succeed in school and life.
Hooray!
Play music, paint, and dance together as a family.
Come on, team.
Blast off with the arts.
Blast off!
For 10 ways to add the arts into your life, visit americansforthearts.org.
Welcome back to Connect Euclid. We're here talking about state report cards, weather, and quality profiles. Lots
And
of
some
great
other
stuff.
good things as well.
Lots of great stuff.
One of the things that we really work on in the show is to let people know how the schools and the city work together, because it's imperative. We depend on each other. We're separate governmental agencies, but we depend on each other. And we're about to begin what for the moment we're calling an elementary athletic program, and it's with the schools and the city. It's much more an athletic program. We're really providing opportunities for our students after school to help them in a number of different ways, and I think that's going to work out very well.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work without great partners, and the city's a great partner. So let me just start with that. And let me just give you an idea of how this all came to fruition. As I mentioned earlier, I go to buildings and I visit buildings and I talk to principals. Well, one of the things that I do in every visit is have a conversation with student groups. I talk to them, and I ask them a couple of questions. I will ask them, tell me what I can do as superintendent to make your experience at school better. What kinds of things would you want? You've got the guy here. They told me that the definition of my position is this is a person who is in charge of stuff. And so I said, since I'm in charge of stuff, then tell me what kind of stuff you want. And so we have very candid conversations. So what I did last spring was to have those conversations with the elementary student groups as well as middle and high, and their needs are a little bit different. But one of the things that came out from those meetings was they said, Mr. Bell, could you look at, or could we have, basketball teams and athletics in elementary? And they asked me, said, well, why don't we have them now? And of course, there's finance involved with that and all of that. So I gave them some of the standard answers, but I told them that I would work on that. And every elementary building I went to, their student groups mentioned the same thing. So what they actually did was put together a survey at the elementary schools. And Shoreview, I'll just point them out, was called to our principals meeting last spring to actually present their survey results to all the principals. And they showed them how many kids would be interested if we were able to offer those kinds of things in the school. So we put our heads together, we reorganized athletics last spring, and long story short, what we're able to do now is to put together in partnership with the city, because I wanted to look at how we could make this smooth, and with the partnership with the city, because I know the city has some athletic programs, but the idea was to be able to get kids to have that opportunity. Now, to be a part of this, they have to be coming to school, they have to be performing academically, they have to be behaving, and they have to be coming to school. The other part is that if last month didn't teach us anything about how athletics can galvanize a city. All you had to do is look at LeBron James and how that galvanized the entire city, and it was more than just athletics. It showcased Cleveland.
Yes, it did.
Cleveland was in a whole different light. And so what we're looking at is taking athletics and using that to highlight the district, to get parents that may not have come into the building. They'll come in to see their students play. Last I looked, I don't know if there's too many first graders that drive to school. So they're going to have to have some. They're going to have to have someone bring them, and so having them come into our buildings gives me an opportunity to connect in a different way. Gives the principals a chance to connect in a different way, and so the gist of it is really, on its face, it looks as if it's athletics. To me, it's more than athletics. It's an opportunity for us to connect with a population of parents maybe that we haven't been able to get to, and using that, and then rewarding kids for doing the right things. And what I really feel good about is that I wanted students to know that I heard them, we listened, and we actually put some action behind what they asked us to do. And so we're really looking forward to that.
It makes a big difference when we invite people in authority, invite our students to express their views. And there's nothing worse to a student or a young child anywhere to have them express that views to you, and you say, okay, I'll take care of it, and you walk out the door and they never hear from you again. And I think this is really going to help continue the improvement in the education, the self-respect the students need to have for themselves and others, and have a little fun as well. There's no doubt about it.
And the pride thing. Kids are talking about, they want to get the, T-shirts that look a certain way. They want to do this. But I also think that it enhances the classroom, because in order to participate, you have to continue to do what you need to do in the classroom. It isn't that you get this privilege, because it is a privilege, to get this privilege and not do the right things in the classroom, making sure that you're leading in behavior and that type of thing. And I think what will happen is it will connect more students to want to do that, because they want to continue to have that opportunity. It makes you think about your actions before you do it because you know what you might lose. And that's that's what we want to try to look at. And so I'm really excited about this as an opportunity for the students, but also an opportunity for me to connect with parents and to be able to do that. And I also want to add that this opportunity is made available because we have been as efficient as we possibly can be with our finances. And what I told our team is I want to make sure that whatever we do, we give back to kids. Whatever we have to do, we give it back to students. We make sure that they are the ones that benefit from anything that we're able to save. And this is just an example of how we're able to do that.
I've talked many times about the recreation department in the city of Euclid under the direction of Max Stevens. It's important to teach kids how to play sports, how to excel in sports, but our goal is that's our secondary or maybe our third goal. The first is, as I mentioned, respect of the game, respect of other people, and just taking care of that whole child first.
Absolutely.
They win a few games, that's great. We talked about two of our football teams. For whatever reason, we have a little different attitude of making sure they study and all that first. Two of our teams were in championship games. So you can instill a winning quality in people if you address the whole kid. And I think this program will do that as well.
Mrs. HOLTZMAN has heard me say this over and over again. I look at athletics as the laboratory or academics because it's a way to test your theory. So you're taught a content in your academic programming, you're taught the structure. Athletics gives you an opportunity to now go out and say, okay, take that same discipline and then how do you work with other people? What do you do when you're down? What do you do when things don't go your way? How do you react? And it gets you, as you mentioned, a chance to build that whole child.
whole person.
And so I think that opportunity in itself really helps us to be able to get kids to understand about how to problem solve, because they're going to have to problem solve, how to work with people who maybe they haven't worked with before, develop different kinds of relationships, and also my hope also is that the parents also do the same thing. And
That's key. Yeah,
get them to
get the
do
parents
that.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, and do that because it'll give me an opportunity to get them while they're there and talk about some things and target some things. And I don't ever want to stop trying to find innovative ways to get parents in our buildings. I want them to come into our buildings. I want them to interact with our staff. I want them to ask us challenging questions because we have the same interests. We want kids to be successful, so we're trying to do everything we can to make that happen.
Got it.
On the middle school level, they're pretty active too. I heard
yeah,
that
they are.
Central Middle School just logged 2.2 million minutes to win the Play 60 championship, and the Cleveland Browns were there yesterday.
Yes, that's a good program by the Browns and all the
Fantastic.
NFL. I believe it's NFL wide.
Yes.
You saw the pictures of the kids. They understood. They enjoyed it. They did well, and they're all feeling better.
Yeah,
They're all looking better.
They were thumping yesterday. I can tell you, they were getting after it, and it's just as I told them yesterday, I just think that what you're seeing is that you can't move kids forward by just a single entity. It takes multiple entities to support students, and they need to see it from all angles. And so now our kids know, the Cleveland Browns know who they are, have acknowledged their hard work. And for a kid or two, or maybe more, hopefully a lot more, they're able to use that as a way to catapult themselves into higher academics, higher behavior standards, all of the things, all of the values that we want to have in our students they can see. And maybe they aspire to not only maybe be a player, but maybe look at marketing or look at some of the other areas, but it brings it to their attention. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity and really want to acknowledge the efforts of all of those students and the teachers and everyone involved with that, because I think it's a great program.
And they won't forget the day for a while. There's no doubt.
Neither will the teachers either. With all the thumping that was going on over there, they won't forget that for a while.
And to think the Browns just came off a real tough loss, and yet they were there. And
they were in such good spirits.
Yes. Well, that's got to be exciting for them to know, and they see they make a difference. There's no doubt. They make a difference.
They do. Yeah. I was very careful to because I was there Sunday. I was very careful They didn't mention anything about Sunday because I just say it's just, like a test, it's just one
Yeah,
time.
it's okay.
Just one time, and they'll get back on track and do what they need to do, so.
This was super special though because this was the third time one of
They've
our
been here.
schools has won
Yes.
consecutive.
Yeah, thank you for
So
acknowledging
John
that.
Yuha, he's one of our physical education teachers. He kind of took charge on this whole thing and
Okay.
has done a phenomenal job getting the kids active and involved.
That's
And
good.
they're logging their walk to school, their walk home, they're logging their dance party after school. So it's a great thing for our kids.
That's a great point because I think what that shows is leadership. Mr. U-Haul was at Forest Park. Forest Park got
yeah.
play 60. He moves to a different school, and that school gets play 60. So I think it really, in itself, talks about what happens when you have good leadership,
Yeah.
and you have a person that's moving that forward and doing what he needs to do. So, kudos to them and the staff and everybody involved with that. I think it was great for the district.
So things that are great for the district, speaking of, you have some really big plans.
Yes.
And you're going to be announcing those sometime soon, correct?
Yes, I am. On December 9th, we are in, there's a lot to it, so I'm just going to give you the skinny on it. But December 9th, we're having a luncheon to roll out our facilities Phase 2 plan and what that will look like and all of the components of that plan. We're going to have a luncheon at 11:45 a.m. at Shore Cultural Center with business folk and a lot of our stakeholders. And then that evening at 7 p.m. at the Little Theater at the high school, we're going to have parents and we'll be sending invitations out. But everybody's welcome. And what we're trying to do is to roll out the entire project, talk about the different components, and then what we'll do is set up on a monthly basis individual parts of that project to flesh out all of the pros, cons, and the things that we need to think about. The ultimate goal is to make sure everyone has skin in the game. Everybody has an opportunity to come to the table. Everyone has a chance to voice whatever concerns they have. But to help us to be able to make sure that when we get ready to roll this thing out in June, that we have the best finished product that we can possibly have, and we've had the conversation, we've had a chance to run it through all of our filters and be able to deliver that to the community because this community deserves something great, and we want to make this something great. So that's the ideal. More to come. The information will go out late next week, and so if you have any questions, you can call the district office, but there'll be more information on our website along with mailed information to the community.
But it basically will be the completion of the modernization of our facilities and our programs in the schools.
Yeah, Phase 1 was the elementary schools, and this is the second phase of the project, looking at the secondary.
Okay, and I got to tell you, to this day, this is our third year in the elementary schools, if I'm not mistaken, the parents and the students, you just see a different attitude because of the facilities they're in and the technology that's in those buildings, and it's great for the community. When we need to make sure that young couples with children understand that Euclid's a great place to move into because they've got great schools. We've got great housing values, we've got great services, but my child's going to get a tremendous education. And I've always said, regardless of report cards or anything else, give us a kid from K through 12 and you graduate a genius. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
You graduate a great human being that will go on to college or into a career and be a very positive contributing member of the community. So I'm looking forward to the luncheon and the evening meeting as well. It's very exciting.
Looking forward to having you.
It's
And,
exciting.
I think what's reflective of some of your comments there is the fact that, a week ago, we enrolled about 30 students in a week. And our enrollment continues to rise. I mean, it's forcing us to look at our facilities, forcing us to look at how we are able to educate kids and all of that. And, we are very intentional about asking questions about where are people coming from. And they are coming because of the programming. I was at Central this morning, and there were two gifted parents that are coming back simply because of the fact that they had perceptions about middle school that aren't true. And they come back and they see for themselves. So I think, all of our attempts to market the district and do what we need to do to make sure that people get the right message, that it's an accurate message, that we're honest about where we are, but we continue to work hard. This facilities project is just another opportunity for us to reach out to the community to ensure that support, but to make sure that everybody has a voice and everybody has an opportunity to be able to be a part of something that we think will be really great.
And it's that communication, like the quality profile, like this television show and other things that we do to get that message out. We got to keep doing it.
Yep.
Got to keep doing it.
We
A lot
have
of good
couple
things
more
are happening.
shows too, don't
Yeah,
we?
we got a couple more shows. Yeah.
So we-
Well, Mayor Cervenik and Superintendent Bell, it has been a true pleasure to sit with you this afternoon. Look forward
well
to
with
the
us.
next time.
Enjoy
Thank
it.
you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time.